Okay, it's going live.
Are we doing it? We're
We're
live.
Uh-oh. Having trouble on Instagram.
Checking connection.
Really? Okay. Let's try.
For those of you joining us on the YouTube, we are trying to go live on both Instagram and YouTube, and our Instagram connection is giving us a little trouble. So we are working on that.
We're gonna go.
We're also, but the Wi-Fi isn't used to like tracking that high. Here we go, It's checking connection. Ooh, it's still blinking. It's like creating suspense in my heart.
Okay, hang
We did
on
not get
there.
the connection.
Sorry guys, if you're on YouTube and you're seeing this right now. Let's see.
It's just a glimpse at humanity.
I checked this the
It's like
other
a zoo.
day. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, let's do this. Maybe it wants me to check in again. Hey, so who's on YouTube right now?
We got 5 people.
Say hello. This is Dustin.
Hello, YouTube. It looks like we have 5 people watching. Will it pop up? Can they comment live on YouTube?
Yes,
like the comments
should.
pop up? If you are watching this on YouTube, can you
See
type
right here?
in and see where you are, where you're from?
Yeah, good idea.
We're in New York right now, and we're kind of curious to see maybe who the furthest from New York is. We have people in California. Do we have international? Are we in Europe, different continents? Oh, we gained a person. We have 6. 6 glorious people.
Okay, but now I've got to, this always happens.
Oh no.
Sorry, you guys. Okay, let's try this on here on Instagram. It should be connected again. I think I just had to reconnect. Live. Okay. There, it looks like
This looks
active.
hopeful. This looks hopeful.
I know, those are my yeah.
We're live.
Is it working?
Yes.
Thank you, Lord. Okay, so here we are. Hey.
Thank you for spending like 3 minutes and 40 seconds with us as we figured that out.
Yes. Hey, thank you so much for joining us today. If you're new to my channel, my name is Rowena, and I am the designer for the Sojourner Travelers notebooks, planners, and other leather goods. Can you guys hear me okay? Thank you so much for joining us again. Sorry about that little technical difficulty. Really appreciate you hanging in there. I am here today with Dustin, the creator of Revelation the Musical. So excited to be here with him. This is not really, okay, the color is off. They want to be able to see you. There we go. So hopefully you can see him and you can hear us okay. We are live on Instagram as well as on YouTube. And just a really quick introduction. I've known Dustin. I tried to figure it out this morning. It was about 12 or 13 years, I think, the first time that we have connected, because he was in a couple of shows or was directing shows with my daughters who were in a community theater. And so anyway, there's a lot that I'm sure he can tell you more about himself and all of that. And so I want to give them a little introduction of basically what you've been doing, how you've gotten to maybe went into acting and the entertainment industry. I mean, you know, just a little background, maybe your childhood and that type of thing.
Gotcha. Well, my very first acting gig was when I was 9 months old. Well, actually, even before that, yeah, I was a baby star. My mom submitted,
Wow.
there was this educational video that they were shooting where they wanted to learn how to take care of your baby. And so my mom submitted me. And so at
Funny.
at like maybe, I'm sorry, I was just a few weeks old. Like it wasn't 9 months, it was like a few weeks old. And they were like changing my diaper and videoing it. And it was pretty exposing for a little kid. So I started off being a child star at like 2 weeks old. But my family has always been very creative and very supportive of the arts. My dad was raised in a very musical family. And so that kind of influenced the way our house was kind of run. And so I got into acting. We had a church that had a drama team, and we had puppetry and just a lot of different type of art going on in our house. So I, at a really young age, I started doing professional shows at 10 years old. And then by 15, I was working pretty consistently in a professional theater settings in Southern California while doing community theater and directing and choreographing and things like that. But I really caught the bug at a young age, and it's been a lot of my life.
And so at 10 years old, what was your first gig that you were aware of, actually, because since you were just a baby when you first were on there?
I was in The Sound of Music, and I played one of the kids, and it like changed my life. I remember there was like hundreds of kids auditioning. I was only 10, and I was playing. I'm 6'8". I'm sitting down right now. I see you can't tell, but I'm a really tall person, and I was a very tall 10-year-old, and so I was playing a 14-year-old, and my voice hadn't changed. And so I just remember being like a little embarrassed about that, but I was tall enough to play the role, but I was young. But I went and I did it. And I just remember being in like this sea of kids. There's so much competition as an actor. There are so many people who are wanting to do it. And so I just remember as a kid, like being in that room, knowing that they were only going to pick 7 kids. And I was like, I want this. I want this, Rowena.
That's really cool. That's neat to know that, you know, it started as a very young. And I tell you, he is one of probably the most respected, especially in my family, actually, in his talent and his direction, because he's one of those guys that's very kind and gentle, but yet he's definitely, you know, focused. And if you work with Dustin, you will just gain a lot of you, actually, and Jason both.
Oh my goodness, Jason is awesome.
Yeah, we both always, you know, anyway, it's just really neat working with these guys because they're real pros. But not only that, they are very humble and kind. And so I've always loved watching what you've done. And I know you worked with the girls, I think, in A Christmas Carol.
Oh yeah. That was awesome.
That
we
was
did
a really
a
fun
Christmas
show.
Carol. Usually it's a very big production, but we did it with maybe 9 people, 8 people. So everyone played like 3 or 4 roles. We did it in the theater in the round, so the audience sits all around you, and then it was
2 weeks of rehearsals.
2 weeks of
That was
rehearsal,
it.
and bada bing, bada boom, we had a show at the end of it.
And it was a great show too.
That was,
I really enjoyed that.
Was directed by Jason James, who Rowena was talking about earlier.
Yeah, another friend of ours.
You know, it's such an interesting when you're directing, because you want to be kind, but you also want to be constructive, and it's such a balance of figuring out how to be constructive, be kind, be creative. You know, like fight for your vision, but then be open to ideas. And I find in artistic endeavors, especially when you're working in theater, there's so much balancing of personalities and artists that there's an art of making the art, and then there's, you know, the art that you're putting on, but then there's the art of making it happen. And that's something that you have to learn too over the years.
Exactly. And then too, you were working a lot of times with younger kids, and so you don't want to crush them, but yet you do want that constructive criticism because you want them to grow. And I think for the most part, that's where everybody wants, you know, they put their children in there not just to, well, it's to have fun too, but to grow. You know, I know that's what our family wanted, is for them to grow in just whatever it is that, you know, they're learning at that time. But anyway, and so with that said, I wanted to ask you, so what and when did you write Revelation? Basically, what prompted you to write that play?
It's a really interesting story. So in 2009, I was going to a Bible college, and there was, we had a deaf student in the Bible college, and I know just very little sign language, but her interpreter didn't show up one day. And so she looked at me and was like, come over here and interpret for me. And I was like, this is a mistake. This should not be happening. So I remember I went and I sat down, and the teacher was teaching Revelation. And if you don't know the book of Revelation, it's very symbolic. They call it eschatology. It's like the study of end times. And so I was way in over my head, like with these signs. I was just like, I started just like acting it out. So, you know, they're talking about like the seven-headed dragon. So I was like, there's a dragon and it has 7 heads. And I was just, it was basically like playing charades. And the woman that I was signing for was just laughing and having a really good time. And I just thought, man, there should be, like, I wish there was a way to visually communicate this to this deaf student, because the material is so rich and it's so mysterious and it's so in depth. And I wanted there to be a way to communicate this with her, which is funny because I've had criticism. They're like, so you wrote a musical to reach a deaf person? And I was like, well, I wanted a visual experience. And while it is a musical, it's very important to the show that it's visually told. That's very, very important, that if you were watching a musical like this, you could still understand a story element to it. So that was really a prompt that kind of started me thinking about the material of Revelation, how captivating it is, how mysterious it is, that it's caused controversy for 2,000 years. If you ask 100 pastors what it means, you'll get 100 different answers because everyone has a different interpretation. And so it was just a really fascinating content to make into a musical, unlike anything I've ever seen before. And that's always exciting to think that you're working on something maybe someone else hasn't done.
And you did it at a community theater, right?
Yeah.
That's the first time I saw it.
Yeah, we did it actually before then. We did a mini tour. We went to churches in Southern California and presented it. And then maybe about 8 months later, we performed it at the community theater everyone is talking about.
Interesting. And how was it, what was the response during that time?
It's, people are amazed. So the musical is word for word through the book of Revelation. So in order to be a cast member, you have to memorize the entire book of Revelation, which is no small feat. It's 22 chapters, and it's a lot of mental work to do it. And so I think initially people were just blown away after they sat for about an hour and 45 minutes that in one sitting, the actors and actresses were able to communicate an entire book of the Bible. And I think people were just blown away. You know, I've been involved with a lot of shows, but I've never seen the response that we've gotten from Revelation. I've never seen a response as great as what we've gotten from Revelation. People are just blown away by it.
And it's 404 verses, right?
Yeah.
In Revelation. I mean, I can barely memorize 2 verses, let alone 404 verses. And I think that's why this is such a great opportunity that it is off-Broadway. I mean, that is huge that it's even off in even New York and then off-Broadway. I mean, the possibility of the gamut of different walks of life that people are going to see this is, we're not going to really know, you know, the impact fully. But anyway, and so that's why I wanted to interview him and get you guys to meet Dustin. But anyway, so let me see, what are my other questions? Oh, so tell us, how did Revelation end up here in New York City?
Oh my goodness. So there was a small team of us that worked on Revelation for about 6 years in California. And then we toured it. We did a couple different developmental workshops of it, basically. And then it sat on a shelf for about 2 or 3 years. And I get a phone call from a producing partner of mine. Her name is Melissa Molnar. She had moved to New York in 2015, and she gave a phone call last May. So just not even a year ago, she called me and was like, I think it's time for Revelation to be in New York. And I was like, okay, can I be a part of it? And she was like, of course. So we just started making some strategic partnerships and doing some brainstorming and praying a lot. And the doors just started opening, and it became clear very quickly that there was some momentum here in New York that we hadn't seen in California.
Really?
And that was surprising because all of our network is in California. Like, that's where I was raised. That's the people who know me are from California. But there's just God's favor is opening doors for us here like we haven't seen before. And so I ended up moving. So I'm now a New Yorker.
That's awesome. And again, that's just got to be the Lord.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely. And in the show opens May 9th to, it performs May 9th to June 9th at the Players Theater on McDougal Street. And in May, it will be a year since Melissa called and said, hey, let's bring Revelation to New York. And as I'm learning more and more about the producing process, shows don't go to off-Broadway immediately. Like, that a show only takes a year to get to off-Broadway is unheard of.
Really?
And
okay.
so, I mean, it's usually they go to a festival or do workshops and readings and showcases, and it can be a 2 or 3 year process. And so in yet less than a year that the show has moved from just an idea and a phone call to actually having and securing an off-Broadway run is
amazing.
Yeah, it's a miracle, basically.
Wow. Yeah, that is, again, you know, that's not us doing it. It's got to be the Lord. And so that's really cool.
We really feel that it's happening supernaturally. Like, we're in the natural just trying to figure it out. Like, how is this all going to work? But we really feel like there's a supernatural thing happening.
So with that said, are you fully casted?
No.
No? You're
no,
not?
We are in the fundraising process right now. So we're really focusing, we've taken about a little less than 2 months to really try to raise the funds so we know what our budget is going forward. Because we have, you know, lovely people we'd love to hire, designers and costumers and set builders and cast members, but we need to know what we're paying them. And so we're in the fundraising to establish our budget so then we know how to move forward from there. But we go into picking our cast. We're going to have auditions in about a month. We're going to be holding auditions here in New York and be opening submissions by video for anyone around the country who would want to be in it.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah. Yeah, we're super excited.
So is, how many are you planning to, you know, for the cast? How many cast
We
members?
are hoping to be able to cast 16 people in the show, which is a huge, like, in an off-Broadway world, 16 is too big. But the sound of the show is so, the more people that are singing it, the music comes to life in a really unreal way. And so we're hoping to have 16 people and then a live band on top of it. So about 20 artists every day coming together to make Revelation happen.
And that's what I really loved about Revelation the first time I saw it. I thought it was just the way it was done. It was just, it's hard to explain. For me, it's hard to explain, but it was just very visually diverse and appealing, and to see these people on instruments. Can I say that?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It was just amazing, you know. So anyway, I don't want to say something that I'm not really supposed to talk about, but yeah, it's just amazing, and the talent that, you know, it's going to take, and even just like you said, the memorization of all those verses. I mean, that's
one of our original cast members. I had asked her to be a part of the production, and she confessed to me. She was like, I just want you to know that I can't memorize scripture. She's like, I can memorize a show, I can memorize a script, but I just have a mental block. There's something that I can't memorize scripture. And I was like, I think that's a lie that you need to not agree with. And
I'm not gonna ask who it is.
But sure enough, it's like this person who told me that there was like a mental block against memorizing scripture, memorized 22 chapters of Revelation. So
She did. Okay.
She did.
Wow. See, that's incredible. And so, okay, so let me see.
This is fun, Rowena. I'm enjoying being here in New York.
I feel like I'm just all over the place here, but
I love it.
Okay, so being in New York and having an off-Broadway, which you never know, it may be on Broadway one day. That's the hope, right?
That's
to
the
get
hope.
it out there.
Yeah.
So did you aspire to this? Is this something that you thought of, that you wanted to do?
Yes. I've always, I think in my wildest dreams, thought of being, if I could have a part in the Broadway community, like if I could have a voice of some sort. I always thought it would be as an actor or dancer or singer, because that was where my training was initially. But as I got a little older, I just kind of felt like I have more to say. I have a message I want to communicate, not just being an actor in someone else's show, but I have a voice and I want to tell stories, and I want to kind of write music and let that, if that could get to Broadway, that would be a dream come true for me. So it's something that the chances of it happening are so few that it's so hard to dream. But it has been a dream of mine to see my work produced on a professional level. And that really, if that could happen in New York, is just amazing. So I'm seeing a small piece of my dream coming true already with this off-Broadway run. And if the momentum continues to drive, and if it could get on Broadway, oh my goodness, that would be amazing. I would be the happiest tall boy in the world.
And the thing is that, it's a lot of hard work. It is. You really need to have the passion for it. And it's just seeing productions and knowing a little bit. I know very little, but knowing a little bit of what goes on in a production.
Yeah, it takes passion, but it also takes partnership. My producer partner, Melissa Molnar, is so good with administrative work, and she's just a genius when it comes to like strategic partnerships and things like that. And Revelation would not be where it's at right now if it wasn't for her coming alongside. I'm definitely more of the artist brain, and just partnering with someone who's more practical and just saying, hey, what do we have to do next? Like, she's always asking, what's next? What's next? And my brain is like, let's just enjoy what we just did. And she's a very forward thinker, and Revelation wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for that partnership.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very grateful, but it's a lot of hard work to see something fun happen, something like a creative dream come true. It's so easy to start something. It's so easy to have an idea and say, oh, I'd love to see that in a musical, or I'd love to, wouldn't that make a great movie? But to finish a script, to finish a rehearsal process, to find someone to produce it, it's a lot of work.
Well, speaking of work, I wanted to ask you and let the audience know, and I know a little bit, what is it that you have been involved in the past? What kind of shows and that type of thing?
Yeah, some of this past year, I've gotten some really incredible opportunities. Just backtracking a little bit, I've done a lot of theater since I was 10 years old. Really, theater was something I did very consistently, but I started doing like television shows and commercials. I did some Toys R Us, Comcast Cable, and then I really wanted to do TV. And so one of the casting directors that I auditioned for, I wrote an email. It's like, I would love to be on television if there's a role, if ever they need something. So I'm 6'8" again, and so if they ever need something a little outside of the box, and I got an email saying, hey, we're looking for a freak, can you come in? And so I ended up being on the TV show Glee. I got a little spot on that television show, and then I got called in for the Pirates of the Caribbean movies too. I was in the second and the third one.
Oh, that's right.
I played the governor's son, which unfortunately got cut from the movie. So I'm in the background, and you can see me kind of like running around, but that was a huge, going through the casting process for that huge feature film was amazing. But it prepared me for last year. I got cast as a Marvel villain in the upcoming film X-Men: The New Mutants. And it's gonna be scary. It's a horror film, so if you're like faint of heart or queasy of stomach, don't come, because it's gonna be terrifying. And I couldn't be more excited. My mom's not gonna watch it, but
she's not? Oh,
she'll
really?
probably watch it when it comes to DVD, and I'll like fast forward, maybe with the sound off, I'll like show her the different parts of it. But it's gonna be really scary, and the part I play in it is super creepy.
Uh-oh. Now, it's not going to be cut off, right?
Well, you never know until I think the part is woven into the story in a way that you couldn't just pull it up, but never say never, because Hollywood, you never know what's going to happen until you actually see the movie.
Although I did Google it, and your name is on that cast list.
Is it?
So, yes.
Okay, good.
So I'm going to say it's probably a go, unless they're just going to have to make all kinds of changes if they take that out. So
yeah, but no, it's really weird. I always feel funny talking about it before it airs, because you don't know what's going to happen. But I did film it. I got paid. The check cleared. All of that. So and it was so fun to be on set of a major motion picture like that, and just it was a small cast. There's only maybe about 8 people.
Oh, really?
So rather than being this huge film with 50 people or 75, like there's 8 people in it, and because of that, we got a lot of personal attention with the director and the design team, the other actors. We really became pretty close on set.
So where was the location where they filmed a lot of it?
We shot at a mental hospital, an abandoned mental hospital in Boston, just outside of like the city. So it was a really creepy setting. The movie was scary. The setting was scary. It was terrifying. Even just we'd get to set early in the morning before the sun would come up, and we'd get out of our bus and we'd just be walking around this old, abandoned insane asylum.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is kind of creepy, but I will go see it for sure.
Do you like horror films?
No, not really.
No,
but I will. Oh yeah, I will definitely see it. And I do love Marvel and those type of shows, but this sounds like it's going a little bit more towards the more horror than they have had in the past, right?
Yeah, it's basically putting superheroes in a horror genre. And so it's the first time it's ever been tried. And I think they've really combined some exciting things, because you have the superhero fans and you have the suspense and the horror genre. And I think it's not gory, just so you know. It's not, you're not going to see like crazy blood or heads getting chopped off. It's but psychologically, I think it will be very intriguing. I can't say too much. I'm trying to be very careful with what I say, because
you can't tell us your role, right?
No.
You cannot.
I cannot. I can't say it publicly.
Okay.
But I can say if they published something and you read it somewhere,
I feel like it was published, because I know what it is and I don't know where I got it from.
Gotcha.
But I'm not going to say. I know you didn't tell me. I saw it somewhere, but I'm not going to say that. Hopefully I didn't mention it already before, but anyway.
No, if it's out there, you can say it.
I think I saw it, but okay, we'll just keep it safe. Anyway, so let's see. What are your current needs for Revelation?
So we are in a fundraising process right now, where we have met with some professionals who've produced off-Broadway, and we got their opinions of what it costs to make a show happen. And there's a huge gamut of $1 million productions, $250,000, and we've looked at the space and we've looked at our production, and we've really strategically cut the budget to about $75,000, which is kind of unheard of as well. Like most off-Broadway shows are around a $200,000 budget and more. But because of different things, because Revelation has been developed in the past, we have a foundation that can lower that cost. So we're looking at $75,000 that we hope to raise in like the next, is it 2 weeks, 1 week? We have 1 week left of our fundraising campaign. So we're really looking to like raise a lot of money.
And this is one of the ways I'm doing it actually, and helping them out is, as you may have already seen, if you follow me, this is the journal that I am taking around New York while I'm here. And I've done this before. If you guys have been around, we did it in Maui and gave towards a Texas relief. And it's an auction on eBay. And this one here specifically is the Sojourner Designer Folio. So you could look that up on eBay and bid on it. That would be great. That would be great support. And 100% of what this journal makes will go towards Revelation. And I have 2 companies that I've already secured. They're going to give towards it and match whatever the winning bid is, up to $1,000 if it's business. Now I'm going to open this up for other people to either to donate if you feel that this is something that you would like to donate to, donate directly to them, but also if you want to match what the winning bid is on this, I'm going to say up to 500 for personal, and if it's a business, up to 1,000. Just because we have to have some kind of cap, because in case it sells for like $5,000. But anyway, and so if they want to go ahead and send some funds over to you, what's the best way of doing that?
We have a website. It's revelation.nyc. Revelation.nyc, and on that there is a place where you can push a button to partner with us if you want to join the team that is helping make this happen. It's amazing to see your range of support for this project. You know, it's people who have seen the production and have seen the hope that it brings, and that's what's different about this show. There's so much entertainment out there, like horror films and whatnot, that might be entertaining but don't really point you to hope. But Revelation, it helps people stir up hope in their lives. And so I think that's why people are so excited to be giving to it and seeing it happen here in New York.
I know that's why I'm excited to be even a small part of that. And really the customers of Sojourner is a huge part of it, because as you know, there is a portion that we give towards nonprofit organizations, and this is one of them. It is nonprofit, tax deductible, if you're interested in that. And also, if you think about it, how many plays have I gone to just this week so far? I think we've gone to 3 or 4 different plays being here in New York, and not one of them the funds didn't go towards anything. You know, when is the last time that you've contributed by seeing a play and contributed to some sort of cause? And so this is a really neat opportunity for you guys if you're interested. And you know, contact them, let them know. And even really outside of that, prayer is huge, even encouragement, you know, and maybe just getting the word out. This is a cool opportunity. So
yeah, again, it's revelation.nyc.
Okay.
And we have an Instagram, Revelation,
Yes.
at revelationthemusical. You could follow us if you want to see what's happening with that. It's kind of fun to see, you know, as we go into the casting process, we'll be showing some behind the scenes footage of, you know, just who we're picking and, you know, different things like that. So it will be exciting as the designs come. The people on Instagram will probably get the first peek of what some of the show is going to look like.
So make sure that you follow them and get the word out, because, you know, that in itself is big. And so there's a possibility of 10,000 plus new ones coming from my Instagram. So
there you go.
That's going to help.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Hopefully. But okay, so a couple more questions real quick here. Do you use a journal or a planner?
I do. I have a journal that I carry with me.
Okay, and is it a write-in journal?
It is a write-in journal.
Yeah,
it's
digital.
It's not digital. It's a spiral journal. I do it. I write my dreams first thing in the morning. Like when I wake up, I'll like write little keywords to help me remember my dreams, because I feel like that is your brain trying to solve problems for the day for you already. And so like that can kind of help you. So I do that, and then any ideas I have during the day, I'll write it down. Or if there's important information like something I need to do, I make a little to-do list. But I find that it's helpful for me to do it physically.
So do you use more writing or digitally, or anything?
I do digital a lot, just with social media and emails and things like that. But I do a lot physically because I like to doodle. I like to draw, and I'm not as good with technology as that, so I do that physically.
Okay, what about when you're coming up with a play, or where you're about to write a play or a script? Tell us real quick, how do you use paper and pencil first, or
if I'm working on lyrics, I will use pencil and paper because I want to be able to erase and see what I've done. I don't want to erase my back work. I want to kind of like on a math problem when the teacher says, show your homework, or like show your process. I want to be able to see my process, so I use paper and pen for that. If it's a script like dialogue, I'll write just on a computer. And then ultimately it has to be all put in a computer so you then can print them out and send it to the cast. But there's something romantic about the pen on the paper.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's something, I like that creative process. So there's something permanent about it too that just makes it, an idea is out there. It's in the universe. Like it's out of your brain, and it's so let it be written, so let it be done.
Yeah, it is. There's something about the pen on paper, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like when you go to a coffee shop and you're writing and you want to journal, you don't want to be going like this. It just doesn't feel great. It feels better to write it, right?
For a while, I was doing a thing called morning pages, where you just like stream of consciousness kind of write in the
A lot of them are familiar with that, yeah.
Oh, sweet. And that's so, I tried to do that on a computer, and it just didn't work. Like there was something, like I had a mental block against it, but when I do it with paper and pen, it flows. It flows.
Cool.
Yeah, I've had lyrics and songs come in the middle of my morning pages, and I'm like, oh, there it is. I found my creative process.
That's cool. By the way, the book, The Sojourner, that the winning bid will receive has his autograph on it.
I think it's...
Oh.
It's kind of hard.
I can't.
Yeah,
there we go.
I think it's going to be backwards anyway, but...
Yeah, there it is. So he autographed it for me. And so that's, yeah. So there it is. Do you guys have any questions or anything before I let him go? He's got a busy day, I'm sure.
Seems an amazing show.
Yes, that is Kelly, a friend of mine from Belgium. I've actually met her in person.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's Kelly. She says, thank you for letting us get to know you, Dustin. He seems an amazing and interesting person.
Ooh.
Indeed.
It's been so fun to be here. I love like just that people are so gravitated towards your product, but I think it's because like feeling it, it's so made with so much quality. Like the stitching and everything is just like super durable.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I can see why people love it.
Thanks. So, okay, any questions, you guys? Why is it important for Revelation to be in New York City? Oh, that is a good question.
That's actually a really important question too, because the life of a musical and the future life of a musical really depend on New York for its basically seal of approval. If something, kind of like the song says, if I can make it here, I can make it anywhere. But if something comes through New York, it is then accepted other places. So if we had just like gone to Arizona and put on a show, no one would really, it doesn't hold any merit. But if you do it in New York, it has it can have a life after the New York run. And so it was really important for us to do it here, opposed to Los Angeles or even Chicago or some other big cities, because theater comes from New York. That's where theater is produced, and that's where it happens. So if you can get a show here, you can get a show other places after. And so for the future life of Revelation, it's really important that it is here first.
There you have it. So you will be at the cusp of this exciting endeavor by just following them and seeing what, you know, like the behind the scenes. That's going to be really interesting. And so do you guys have any other questions, or is there anything else I should cover?
What is the time frame for the show to open? So we have about 3 months until opening. So in those 3 months, we will be putting all the teams together, the cast and crew, all the designers behind the scenes, and then the show will run for 5 weeks, starting May 9th to June 9th.
You seem so relaxed.
I know.
3 months is not very long.
No, it really isn't.
And yet you seem so relaxed, and you're like, okay.
It's fun. You made me at ease.
Oh, good.
No, I'm stressed.
But hey, I want to bring in Melissa, if you don't mind. Would you mind, Melissa? Okay, we're going to try to squeeze. No, stay here. We're going to try to squeeze in here. Whoa. So this is Melissa. She is a co-producer of this beautiful show that it's going to be. And so I want you just give us a little information, anything that you want to cover that maybe we didn't cover in this interview.
Yeah, I mean, you guys covered quite an array of information on the show, and Dustin's experience, which is a huge piece of that, and his creativity. I think just what Dustin was saying about the importance of it being in New York, it just gives it sort of that credibility. But we see, you know, a national and an international opportunity here, just with, I think, musicals gaining popularity, I think nationwide, and just breaking the bounds of the normal musical theater crowd, like even just the phenomenon of Hamilton, all of the musicals that are going live on TV, like Rent was live last night.
Yes.
You know, so it's sort of, the musical genre is becoming so mainstream, and it always has, but I think over the years it's fluctuated in its mainstream popularity, and I think it's just so ripe right now for something to come along. And we've, in our conversations with different producers and different industry people here, we've had a lot of really big interest in the mainstream. It is, based upon a religious text, but we've gotten just so much interest from just the normal New York theater industry here, just for the creativity. I think New York is very, just welcoming of something that's excellent, and in pitching it, in talking to people, we've gotten just a lot of positive response. And I think, in terms of what has gone before, you think of Godspell and Joseph, the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Prince of Egypt is coming out, so there are those Jesus Christ Superstars. So there are those, those incredible shows that have gone before and have, such amazing impact theatrically on Broadway and then regionally. And internationally. So, we just see this as like the next coming up musical in that genre, and just being apocalyptic. There's so much interest in that topic culturally.
It's right.
Yeah. American Horror Story this year was like apocalyptic themed, so it's just built into like our pop culture, is just that fascination with the end times and the apocalypse and all of that. So I just feel like all of those, sort of reasons have put it, in my mind of like, this could really be successful. Apart, in addition to the message that we want to get across and the hope, just from a business practical standpoint, like I just see the possibility of a lot of success with it too.
Yeah, and it's just really, I'm just blown away. I mean, I'm amazing. And I always thought that when you had it over at the community theater, I always thought, wow, what an amazing way to really tell people about Revelation and about the Bible. That's, it's a very important book, And I mean, what's that verse that you guys, it's the 1:3?
Oh, it's blessed is the one who hears, and blessed is the one who says it. So it's the only scripture that promises a blessing if it's spoken or if it's heard. And so in that, we know that like every time we perform it, we know we're getting a blessing, and we know that the audience is getting blessed too. We don't know what that blessing is, but we believe that it says it's a promise that blessed is the person who reads it, and blessed is the person who hears it. And so we know that every time we do it, there's a blessing that goes out, which is kind of fun.
It is. And that's right. It is the only book that says that.
Yeah.
And so that in itself is amazing. And, if even just one person, right, is touched by it, I mean, it's just all been worth it. And so it's
absolutely,
it's such a wonderful opportunity. And that's why I wanted to get on board with that and with Sojourner as a whole. And so if you guys, again, if you want to get in touch with them and donate whatever, or let them know you're praying for them, or let them know that you saw this and that, you're praying for them and you're going to be following them, that type of thing, feel free to do that. And again, what is the website?
The website is revelation.nyc.
Okay.
And the Instagram is at revelationthemusical.
Yeah. And so any last minute questions, you guys?
And we just want to take a moment and thank you. I know you're not going to like sing your praises on your own channel, but you've been so generous just financially. Sojourner has gone above and beyond in supporting Revelation. So just prior to this, so even doing this auction in addition, and getting the matching companies to come in as well is huge.
Just blessing our socks off. Like we are so excited. And I just love your heart just to like create great products, but also to bless other organizations through that.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it's true.
The real deal right here.
It's true,
Well, I'll just say that, the thing is it's not really me. it's not really the company. It really is him. And all I do is really obey. I mean, honestly, when I woke up the other day and I was just like, why didn't I think of this before? It's like I knew it was from the Lord, and I knew that he wanted this to go further. And I'm just a vessel, truly. But thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I know that God is glorified in what you are doing and what we are doing here as a whole. And so, anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Of course. Can I share something real quick?
Yes,
so,
for sure.
When I used to direct and choreograph at the community theater that your girls were involved in, I remember whenever you would like come to rehearsals and sit there, I'd always feel the pressure because I knew that there's some parents who like just kind of drop their kids off and they want free babysitting, but you really had like the expectation that your kids would want to learn and you wanted them to like be treated with excellence. And I just remember like your standard helped me remember like, hey, I don't want to just phone this in. Like I want to be intentional with things. And I think that's a theme that I've seen in your products, in your family, that you're just very intentional with the things that you want. And I think that goes a long way just as like your character. But I just think that that's such an admirable thing.
Oh gosh, thank you.
And it put a lot of pressure on me too. It was like, I just want to phone this in, but then I'd see Rowan out there, I was like, can't phone this in. I gotta teach the kids today. You know, like I gotta like school them right.
Yeah. And that's why I said, you know, you're one of the ones that our family has always respected because we knew that you were going to want them to excel and that you're going to demand that. And that's what I wanted my kids to be used to, that demand excellence, you know. And so truly, you are one of the ones that we've always looked up to for that. And I always trusted that if I was there for all the rehearsals, weren't I?
I think so.
Pretty much,
I
yeah.
think so.
Yeah. And so, but
there's a lot of pressure.
But I could leave, but I could leave them with you. I had that feel of, you know, I knew that you were going to take care of things. And so, anyway, thank you so much, you guys, for being on here. It says Kelly saying, "Sure, she is and I'm sure she's amazing, and I'm sure the musical will be too. I wish I could come see it myself. Good luck." She's in Belgium.
Well, come to New York. Have a fun weekend in the summer. Why not?
Who doesn't want to come to New York?
Who doesn't want to come to New York?
I know. I'm flying back in.
It's going to be so
to
fun.
see it. Yeah, it is. And so, any last thing that you guys want to impart?
It's just, there's so much hope in the book of Revelation, and something, I think there's a perception that it's very scary and it's very daunting, but something in the writing of it, I realized that there's so much joy, there's so much hope, and I love that about it. At the very end of the book, it talks about the tree of life, and the leaves are for the healing of the nations. And if there was ever a time that we need to see the healing of the nations, it's now. And I just love that the end of the show points people towards the healing of the nations. And it's something that like my heart just longs for. And I love that this musical, while it's a musical and it's fun, it has a lasting hope as well.
Well, thank you so much for being here. But one last question for both of you. New York or California? You can choose only one.
That's so hard.
How long have you been in New York?
3.5 years.
And Dustin?
I've only been here a couple months, but I lived here in my early 20s for about 5 years.
Okay.
I think for right now, New York. And if I was in California, it'd be California.
That's a good answer.
I love the weather in California. It's just so accommodating. I love having a car. It's wonderful. Those are the things I miss so much about California, but I love New York right now. There's just so much art everywhere. You get on a subway, there's a mariachi band, and there's a hip hop dancer, and there's a violin concerto being played before you get on the train. And then you get off the train and you're just surrounded by architecture and street art and Broadway and dance, and just everywhere you go, there's people who are wanting to do their best and create amazing things. And so right now, my artistic soul is really being nurtured by being in New York. So I'm gonna say New York right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna say New
For right now.
For right now. But California is beautiful. It's my home.
Yeah.
But I love New York.
Okay, so well, I think that's it then. And
don't we have to sing happy birthday to you?
That was a couple of days ago.
It was a couple of days ago? Did we do that live? Did we say happy birthday to you? Do they know it was your birthday?
Yeah, they know it was my
Okay.
birthday.
Good,
A
good,
bunch
good.
of people already said, yeah, so thank you so much.
All right.
Plus, you might infringe on some copyright.
I don't want to
right?
do that.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
want to.
exactly, because we're on YouTube.
Oh yeah, they'll,
yeah.
they'll
Take it
shut us
out.
down.
Yeah.
They'll shut us down.
Exactly. Well, anyway, thank you so much, you guys, for coming in and tuning in. And I really appreciate all of you guys. And again, please support them through prayer, following them on Instagram, Facebook. Just really appreciate this time that you took to hang out with us. Tell your friends, point them in this direction. And if you can come out to New York,
Oh my goodness.
it would be so fantastic.
Bring your journals.
May 9th through June 9th, I am going to be coming back for sure. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Thank you again so much from the bottom of our hearts. Really appreciate this time that you guys gave to us. And so with that, as usual, keep on documenting life as it happens. Bye-bye.
Bye.